It's time to meet Monique. There's no one quite like she. A ghost hunting drag queen. She'll tell you all you need. Cause drag's the highest form of energy there is. So come on, boys and girls, join her paranormal world. Ghosts and glitter. Join the ghostess with the mostest. Ghosts and glitter. Monique too soon, hope you don't scare too soon. Ghosts and glitter. Ghosts and glitter. Join the ghostess with the mostest. Ghosts and glitter.
Hi, everyone. It's me, Monique Too Soon, and I am the host of Ghosts and Glitter. I am the paranormal drag queen. This podcast is about ghosts, drag, and pop culture. And today we have a very special guest that is on a current show on Hulu called Living for the Dead. So let's talk about Ken Boggle. Ken Boggle has been studying, reading, and using the tarot for more than 30 years, traveling all over the world for his clients. Many even say that he has helped them change their lives. His direct, intense, and entertaining approach to tarot has garnered the respect of not only his clients, but all of those who followed his career. When Ken is not reading tarot cards for private clients, he can be found participating as a featured guest for paranormal investigations, such as the Rhodes Hotel, Waverly Hills, and the Carnegie Center. Not only does he provide readings for individual clients at events, but he also offers gallery tarot readings as well. Ken is passionate about helping others in need and is very active in charitable fundraising, including Coal River Children's Advocacy Center, the Bluegrass Rape Crisis Center, Susan G. Komen Foundation, as well as many others. Ken has been featured on ABC 36, Midday Kentucky, Lex 18, Good Morning Kentucky, WQQ, and KISS 96.9. Ken is also a co-host of Scarefest Radio and regularly appears on paranormal themed podcasts all over the country. He is a featured guest for the Inner Light Festival, Mystical Fair Lexington, Mama Ruby's Holistic and Mystic Expo, and the Scarefest. His series, Tarot Date with Ken Boggle, is the first show to ever focus on the paranormal interpretation of tarot cards. And now you can see him on Living for the Dead. Let's bring in Ken Boggle. Hi.
Hi.
Oh my God, I ate my words quite a few times on that. That was nice and wordy. And all these radio stations and stuff.
And that's not even updated. I need to update that.
Yeah, it doesn't even have Living for the Dead in it, which is incredible, by the way.
Yes, thank you, baby. Thank you.
It's so nice to see LGBTQ people actively out and in paranormal TV, because a lot of the people I feel that are in our community are not out. They may be in television, but they're not actively known for being gay or whatnot. So this is kind of like a really cool, groundbreaking thing.
Yeah. And what's shocking is, am I gonna bitch already?
You can go for it. I'm all about
oh my
bitching.
God.
What's the tea?
I'm gonna do it, Monique.
Oh my
First
God.
of all, wait. I think you're beautiful, and I've been a fan of yours since I first saw you.
Oh.
And I think you're iconic. I find it interesting that we have a show that's this inclusive inside of the LGBTQ plus, and that the paranormal investigators that I know are great big queens are in no way supporting it. They're not, they're not sharing it. They're not like engaging with it. It just goes to show you that in the paranormal community, a lot of people are in it for themselves. They're not in it to help. And a lot of these folks, I mean, I have, known for years. I've had them in my hotel rooms. I've poured champagne for them. I've catered to them, bought their tickets, bought their books, which weren't even that good. And let's be honest, mine's gonna swamp. As soon as my book comes out, it's going to swamp some ass, and I can't wait. Yeah, no, it's coming out soon. It's actually almost finished. To be finished probably next week. But it just makes me crazy that they would see something that is so profound. Like Living for the Dead it's not just about being gay and not about being queer. It's our approach. It's what we're doing. It's profoundly unique. And it just shocks me that they're not going to participate in that. But so is life, so is life. I just hope that they don't cut their nose to spite their face, because what Living for the Dead does, as well as what you do, is that we're standing up finally and saying we have a voice, and that voice needs to be heard in this conversation of life after death.
Yes.
And to not support each other in that is short-sighted, ignorant, and in the shortest terms, stupid.
I think a large part of it too is I've noticed a lot this year that a lot of paranormal shows are gone. They've all
Yeah,
been canceled except for maybe 2 or 3 different ones that have been on for a very long time,
yeah.
and I think a lot of the paranormal celebrities that are currently on air are starting to shit their pants a little bit because they're realizing that these shows that have been going on for 12, 13 years, something new is coming, there's a change.
Yeah, a change is coming. But I have it on good authority that we're about to see how much of that can I talk about? Not a lot. We're about to see some real movement in the way of streaming paranormal television that you and I can talk about after this because I think that you should also be involved. So
Okay.
something is coming, and I've been aware of it now for a month, and it's pretty beautiful. It's pretty big,
Okay.
and I think that it's going to be the home of these para shows that got lost in this great big merger that happened.
Yeah, and there's so many good shows that did get canceled, but there are no shows to this day until Living for the Dead that really focused on our community, and we've kind of been left in the dark. And the people who are in the paranormal world that happen to be LGBT, they're so quiet about it. Like they're not proud of it. They're not expressing that. That's not feeding into their investigations. But we're using our tools of the fact that we are in this unique world of being gay and or queer, and we're using those to ghost hunt.
Yeah, and
Which
it was
like
actually just told to me by I read for a number of psychologists and psychiatrists and therapists. Like I read for a lot of them, and it was just explained to me that there's a new study that's still new, but that it involves the level of trauma that an individual goes through and how that trauma can actually lead to extrasensory perceptions
okay.
that children of trauma or people who have PTSD or complex or childhood PTSD, that they actually learned at a young age how to read energy, how to read inflection, how to read voice, and beyond the physical read, how to really get to a level that, to help them remain safe or to help them keep everybody in the house cool. It is proving that people who, the more trauma they have, the better they are at extrasensory activities, extrasensory uh, pieces. They're better at it. And I think that there's a lot to be said for the gay community and the level of trauma. I think there's a lot
Seriously.
to be said for that. Yeah.
What gay
So
person wasn't bullied or, suffered something at least in our age group. The younger gay people have it a little bit better, which I'm so happy about.
oh
But
yeah. Yeah.
I'm 40 and I remember being pushed in a trash can and a whole bunch of people sat on top of it screaming the F word at me the whole time. Like that was traumatizing as, growing up in a small town here in New Hampshire. And I can't even imagine what other gay people went through. I feel like I had it easy.
Well, I mean, I grew up in Kentucky, in southeastern Kentucky, in coal mine country. And when the day that I became homeless at 15 years old because my parents didn't want a queer son was the day that I got an apartment, got a job, got a car, got my life together. And it was the same day that I said, I'll never, ever again tolerate the disrespect that I once had. So from that was on a Friday. That Monday, I came in roaring into the school, parked my car with a cup of coffee full of Kahlua, and marched in and said, I'm not taking it anymore. So I mean, I used to have people throw things at me, spit on me. I had my ass beat. I beat a few asses.
Oh,
It was pretty traumatic. But after that point, I started flipping tables. I found the best thing I could do in the moment was when they were saying the F word and spitting at me in class was to flip a table. I was known for saying nobody learns a GD thing until I'm treated with effing respect. And I would stand there and wait and remind the teachers who were also homophobic, a good portion of them, that I at that point was paying their salary.
hmm.
And I would
Yep.
fold my arms and say, I'll wait right here while you do your job. I mean, I was kind of a pill,
Yeah.
but it made me an incredibly strong person and fiery and intense. And it's always worked better for me anyway.
I think that's where the fire comes from me as well. Like you end up building up like like almost like a comedy that you take on about yourself because you need to either make people laugh or distract them from the fact that you're gay so they stop being mean to you. And I think by the time I was like a junior in high school, like I had ended up just, winning over some of the cheerleaders, and that made my like final year or two easier for me. But up until then, high school was hard.
High school was hard. My whole educational career was horrible. And what I determined was that, and I say this with humility now, that back then I was so gorgeous. Like, I mean, I made Zac Efron look sick. I mean, I was beautiful. Why would they like me? Because I didn't have to be a football player. I didn't have to be, anything. I was just me and gorgeous. I mean, I was like, I had a full beard and chest hair by 16. Like I was gorgeous.
I still can't grow a beard or chest hair.
Hey, leave it to me, guys. Leave it to me. I'll do it for us. I got it. But yeah, it was just harder. It was harder for all of us, I think. Harder for all of us. But this generation, as you said, thank God they're having it a little bit better. Not to say that it's easy, but they've got it a little bit better.
I agree. And I think that a lot of the things that we did in our time to make things better for them too is helping a lot. I definitely see how things have paved the way. It always shocks me when I talk to, like, I own a hair salon, so I do hair. I talk to a lot of people. And I have a client who has a 17-year-old son, and it always surprises me at how the younger generation treats, gay people now. And she bought him ghost hunting because they bonded over Ghostbusters. And I was kind of like, why does your son want to go ghost hunting with a drag queen? It's kind of an interesting concept. And he ended up going. He had a lot of fun. And then she actually overheard him talking to his friends in his room one day. And they were having this conversation. And they were like, yo, you're so weird. You're ghost hunting with a drag queen and blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, that's the best part. And he goes, because anytime I'm about to shit my pants, she says something stupid and I cracked up laughing. And, to me, that was incredible because he just stood up for me amongst his friends. And then like 6 months later, all those damn friends came with him ghost hunting.
I love that.
Had a great time, So I feel like this younger generation is really just so much more open-minded.
Yeah. I was actually at a convention and this guy comes up to me and he's like 6'3", big guy. And he says to me, are you Ken? And I said, yeah. And he said, are you from Kentucky? And I said, yeah. And he said, I'm an author. I wrote a poem about you. It's called A Guy Named Casey I Never Met. And he said, you blazed such a path that you made life a lot easier for all of us. And even though I never met you, you made my life better. And he starts to cry. I started to cry. I'll send you the poem. It's actually very beautiful.
Oh, I want to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. But, for that reason, I thank God in the universe every day for how hard it was for me. Because if it makes somebody else's life better, then that's what I'm about.
And that is the thing and that's what other people don't understand right now, because the economical world and the political world of drag right now, they're trying to make drag illegal. And I mean, I believe, was Kentucky one of the states? I know Tennessee was.
Yeah, it was one of the states, but I think they fought it really, really hard.
Yeah, I think they ended up banning it, saying it was like unconstitutional.
Yeah.
But the whole political warfare over drag, and literally what you just said is what we are trying to do. These readings at libraries and stuff, they're not about us grooming children. I have an 8-year-old son. He watches me get ready. He's seen me in drag. Has he ever once asked to put on a fucking wig? No, he doesn't care. It doesn't faze him at all because I don't make it a big deal about,
Yeah.
He'll say, Papa, you look pretty. But these events, like I did one for teens at a library here in New Hampshire, and the coolest thing about the event after was the people coming up to me saying, I now can live a little bit easier knowing that this tunnel that I'm stuck in right now is going to have a big light at the end of it. And eventually things will get easier. And I kept telling people at that event, I'm like, just wait till you're out of high school. I promise you, high school is the worst part of your life. After high school, your real friends come, your real life begins, and that's where you really grow.
But also add your biggest, sexiest bullies on Facebook because they're gay too. And you're going to have amazing sex.
Yep. Oh my God. Yeah, I was cracking up in those. So I rewatched a couple of episodes of Living for the Dead this weekend because I just wanted to make sure I had some fresh questions for you. And I rewatched the one at the Palace Theater last night, which I have to do an event with you there. I think that would be incredible. That theater, there's something about it that like I wanted to get sucked right into the TV and just be there on that stage with Roz when she was performing in that episode, which was really cute, by the way. But
Yeah.
like something about that episode that I was cracking up was when you were doing the reading for the owner, and you hadn't realized up until that point that he was gay, and you just kept like, I can't be without the company of a man for without 3 weeks. You know, I can't go 3 weeks without the. And this tarot reader was like, try 3 years. Like I was cracking up because you will not see that on any heterosexual ghost hunting show ever.
No, and it's really funny when we were in the production scheduling conversation, because they're like, we're going to go to the theater, we're going to meet these people, which is about the only preparation we had, other than somebody filling the gas tank to the RV so we can drive. They said his name, and I said, "Oh my God, does he have long hair?" And they were like, "Maybe at one point." Why? I was like, "I think I've already slept with him." I had it.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, there's always the future.
Well, I mean, no, I think I'm okay. Yeah, my audience. I think my audience has changed now because of the show. By audience, I mean the people who are seem to be attracted to me.
Oh,
I think they've all kind of. I think the younger groups are after it now because they think that I'm, Uncle Ken, and they want to. Yeah, they have that thing. But yeah, it was an incredible location. I'll call Jill and Caitlin, and we'll plan something if you really want to do that, because I'd love to have you here. Yeah. Okay.
That would be so amazing. And, I'm dying to get in. I haven't done anything, I don't think, in the middle states at all. Like, I don't think I've been anywhere down the middle of the country.
Yeah. Well, you got to be careful in Kentucky. You can't say that it's middle America. We're known as the gateway to the South.
Oh, okay.
So they're very big, and I'm very big. There was somebody who said to me the other day, they were like, you're in mid-America. And I was like, no. I'm that line where T becomes sweet and guitar has 6 syllables. I'm Southern. You can't help me. Can't help it not me.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
So one of the locations I wanted to ask you about, I had never heard of this location before, and my husband is from Arizona. So the location in Arizona was it the Queen Creek Manor or something? I can't remember what the name of it was now that we're live. I don't know if I wrote it down in my notes. But that location seemed to have a lot of negativity in it. Like
the one with the woman, the mansion in the desert.
No. The hotel.
Oh, the Copper Queen.
Copper Queen. That's it.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what the name of the hotel was, but that seemed to have a really negative presence to it.
It was horrible. It was bad.
Like, and you were put into the worst room in that episode. Like you had to spend some time. Did you actually sleep in that room?
I couldn't get to sleep. Every time I rolled over, the trigger object that we had was also an EMF detector.
Okay.
It was basically a REM pod, and every time I would try to get to sleep, it would go off, and I was so exhausted. You're talking about traveling in an RV, and then having to stay a week inside of this location. You're not just done. Nothing just stops because you sit wrapped for the day.
No.
And we'd already done a 12-hour day. And all I really wanted to do was eat my quesadilla. Oh, wow. And that Boo Bear kept going off. And I mean, I was so exhausted and so tired. But the thing that creeped me out was I was in this room where a child had been murdered right next to the bed. So I snuck down the hallway and I knocked on Roz's door, and they thought I was a ghost and ran into the bathtub. It sounded like somebody dropped a dozen frozen turkeys in that bathtub. Her and CJ Romero, the co-creator and executive producer. So I was like, these kids. And so I went to Alex and said, can I bunk with you? And she said, yeah. And we did our facials, and we got in our pajamas, and we slept back to back and watched British television until I fell asleep. And
I love British television.
Oh, I'm all about Mrs. Slocum and her pussy.
Oh my God.
And Are You Being Served is one of my favorite things. Well, obviously I'm an Anglophile. British culture is fabulous. Yes. Anyway. So yeah, it was the Copper Queen was an incredible location, and so much more happened than what actually got that got cut. So much happened that was cut. That's very kind of sad. I wish they would release some of that other footage. It was just amazing. I mean, things being thrown. We had a spirit board message session that ended in a huge bang that was unexplainable.
Wow.
And as soon as the bang happened, Logan jumps up, and I grabbed him, his cute little beautiful peachy ass, and I pulled him back down and said, don't leave the circle. You can't, because I'm Victorian. that's my approach to seances. And you can't leave the circle until you close the board. As soon as we closed the board, I ran trying to find it, and I went to the other side of this wall, and I was like, somebody banged this wall. So I'm just going to, I fisted up, and I plowed this wall, and nobody stopped me and told me that it was made of cement and rock.
Oh my God.
And so I wept like a girl, and the showrunner said, Ken, you're here to shuffle cards. Do you think you could, I don't know, maybe not break your hand?
Seriously. Speaking of tarot, that's something I'm actually learning tarot right now. I've been taking courses and, trying to really like do tarot. I've been trying to develop my my sensitivity. I think I kind of blocked it since I had a bad experience as a child with it. And I think I blocked it for so many years. And then recently around COVID time, I started playing a little bit and opening myself up and trying to like reopen this and grow it. And so I've started to do tarot because a lot of people say that is a good way to learn your intuition and kind of discover your intuition. Was that the case for you? Did tarot kind of help you grow that?
Well, I'd love to answer your question, but first I have to bitch. Why didn't you let me teach you?
I mean, I'm not done. I barely started. I've only
Okay.
taken like a few things. I would love to. You're like the master tarot.
Yeah, well, I've done it for 32 years. In June makes 32 years. But I teach psychic development classes. There's 4 classes to the course. But for tarot, there are 8 classes to the course. I'll cut you a hell of a deal. You just message me later and we'll find some time to do this because I really would love to help you do this because, again, I'm such a fan of yours.
Oh, thank you.
I just adore you. And anyway, so no, that's not quite how it worked out. I was born gifted. And I was, again, I'm that age where I was alive before caller ID. And the phone would ring and I would say, this is so-and-so, and this is why they're calling. And you'd pick up the phone and it was that person. And that was the context of the call. And then we moved into a haunted house. And the house was, I'm sure you've heard me tell the story, so stop me if I bore you.
Oh, you're not boring me at all.
Yeah, the house was split level.
Yeah.
And it was cornered by flowing water and water under the house. And in the backyard was a old Appalachian cemetery. So my bedroom was on the level of the graves, and it had power lines that crossed next to and in front of the house. It was like the perfect storm for paranormal activity. And I would lay there in bed, and every night I would hear step, drag, and I knew it was the old man, and he was going to come into my room, and he'd bring the 3 women. And he would come to the edge of the door frame and he would look in to see if I saw him. And then he would come around the bed, and then they would come around the bed, and then they would lean in on top of me. And their mouths wouldn't move, but I could feel them screaming at me. So I wasn't able to sleep. And I went to see my granny when I was 8 years old. And she said, Ken Jr., you look awful. She smoked her Doral cigarette. She's like, you look like shit, she'd say, which was Granny's Appalachian Southern way of saying, what's wrong? I love you. And I told her, I just cried. And she said, I'm the same way and I can help you, but don't tell your daddy and don't tell the family because you know what they'll say. And I said, yeah. So first she trained me and developed me psychically. And then my Aunt Caroline taught me how to read fortunes with a deck of poker cards. And I went back to Granny's house and said, look what I can do. And she said, yeah, but real men use tarot, which is what she called tarot cards. Real men use tarot. And so she gave me $20 and she went and bought a dirty romance book at the corner store. And I bought a deck of tarot cards. And then I learned them and I've been using them for 32 years.
That's insanely awesome.
Yeah.
I actually, I listened to a course recently because I'm trying to get back into the classes. My husband and I are going to take them together. And I was listening to one podcast that kind of like broke tarot down in the sense of the poker cards. And that is what made my brain light bulb go off because she told it like a story and how these suits lined up with the suits in tarot. And it kind of made tarot make more sense to me because I was so much more used to like the regular playing cards than I was ever with the tarot cards. And I probably have like 15 decks of tarot cards because I buy them all the time because I'm so attracted to the artwork on them.
They're beautiful.
They are.
The thing about that is, and that's how I started. The thing about it is it's also useful for, I always butcher the name of this, but it's called Leo Normand. And
Okay.
that's a different kind that also uses the playing cards in some degree. But tarot cards go so beyond that because each card has its own definition. When you invert it, which they call a reversal, it
Yep.
changes the definition. But inside of the cards, there's about 4 or 5 different symbols that also help in the reading of the card. And so by the time you're done with me, you in the classes I teach, you learn what those symbols are. And if I'm boring you, I'll leave a perpetual fear
No,
of working.
no. I'm so interested in this stuff. So
But the reality of tarot is it's a language.
yes.
And you have to start by learning the words, and then the words with the symbols become sentences, and then you put them together in a spread and it becomes a paragraph. And then by the time you finish the whole spread and you stand back and you look at it, it becomes a whole book.
Yes.
And so it's so important to have your vocabulary of the tarot in mind, because that's what hits the intuition. The intuition will see symbols that you normally don't see if you're just looking at the cards, and then you're like, oh, this is a dog that passed.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And from there, like I teach you like traditional spreads, but then I teach you spreads that I've made and then spreads that I've kind of tinkered with.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know a lot about the spreads yet because I haven't really gotten through the educational part of the card. So I haven't gotten into the spreads, but that sounds really cool.
All right, cool. I'd love to help you with that. You and your partner. Holler
I
at me.
would love it. I'm
We'll do
sure
it.
too. I'll let them know.
Okay.
Like I said, I think the reason I really wanted to learn tarot too is sometimes like when you're sitting around at Paracon, it's fucking boring as hell if you're waiting for people to come to your table. Or I'm a drag queen in a world of, you know, people that don't want drag queens in their world. You know, I'm purposely splattering glitter all over this place. But, you know, like people don't just come up to me and be like, oh, who are you? You look interesting. They're more afraid of me. Like I find myself chasing them around Paracons, but I'm like, maybe if I did tarot or, you know, something on those lines, I could get people to come to my table for a reading, and then they would get to
Yeah,
know the drag part, and then they would kind of understand where it comes from.
absolutely. And for me, um, I used to read for $20 an hour,
Oh my God.
and now I'm 120 an hour. But it's taken a long time just to build my clientele. And there's a lot of people who look at it like it's evil. So my real piece to tarot is decult it and demystify it, because there's no evil force in the world that would be happy that I'm keeping a family together, or I'm helping somebody stop their drug addiction, or as in the case of one client I have, she was a cutter. And through the course of meeting every 6 weeks, we went through some major stuff with these cards, and to stop doing that and to stop taking your own life and to now actually be thriving. So I'm like, there's not an evil force in the world that would love me to do that.
Oh,
And yeah, but it's also incredibly unique in that in your situation, um, you face a tremendous amount of judgment right off the bat before you even open your mouth, and that's hard. It's a lot harder. And if you can have something like tarot to break that ice, beautiful things can happen.
yeah.
Beautiful things can happen.
And,
Yeah.
you know, I have faced that judgment. I've had, you know, celebrities laugh in my face and walk away from me. I've legit had the people that run the Paracon scream at me. And I'm like, I'm just trying to add a little bit of fun and flair to a world that's so dry and flaky and old. I want to add
Yeah.
a splash of freaking glitter to this world. And I like to call myself paranormal vodka because I spike the punch when I go into a location.
Yeah, you do.
Spirits don't know what the fuck to do with me. They either, they hit on me, they touch me, they talk about my hair, they talk about my makeup. The weirdest EVPs come through when I'm ghost hunting.
Well, that's like us at the Palomino when we were doing the Gentlemen's Club at the Palomino.
Oh, I
And
just watched that one too again. Yeah.
yeah, and they told Roz they didn't like her hair.
That's amazing. I love it when the ghosts are mean to me too. Like I definitely have had that happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've definitely had one say he's a lady. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm glad I'm confusing the spiritual world as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like because of who we are, it ties into some of the spiritual connections we make as well. Like
Yeah.
I've connected with a cross-dresser from an insane asylum that was in there for being a cross-dresser, Like look at how far we've come from like the 1950s. Like, I wouldn't be institutional. Well, I could be institutionalized for this now, but back then it would be immediate.
Idiot. Yeah. And I think like just in terms of being able to be free and liberated, it does a lot for the spirit communication because that's all they really want to. Like in terms of sanatoriums I've been to, I can't tell you the amount of women who were institutionalized just for being depressed or for having anxiety or some undiagnosed disorder of some kind. And the bigger I was, the more faith I think that these spirits had in me, and the more they would open up and share with me. And I'm very thrilled about it. Also, I think there's something about us that is, to borrow the First Nations people's phraseology, that's dual spirited. So we're able to communicate with the feminine as well as the masculine. But the issue is the paranormal. Here I go. Is that okay? I'm gonna do it anyway.
Spill the tea. Spill the tea.
The paranormal genre is made up of very somewhat attractive heteronormative males, because the people who are really watching paranormal television are the women. And if there is a man who's watching it, it's because there's a true, genuine interest, or there's some unconscious or subliminal attraction. And, I remember interviewing a muscle-bound, heteronormative, black-wearing juice head. And we were at the black carpet, and I said to him, all these questions, and he was totally ignoring me. And so finally I said, how do you feel about the fact that your entire career rests on your biceps? And he said, you make me sound like a douchebag. And I was like, you do well enough on your own, sir. But I'm really asking you, how do you feel about the fact that if you didn't look the way you did, these cougars wouldn't be following you the way they are?
Right.
So I think we're a hard sell to make, your content as well as mine, in the paranormal industry. Because a lot of people in the LGBTQ plus community don't even believe in the paranormal. A lot of them are really removed from spirituality in any way because it has been so dogmatic for them. They've been, beaten over the head with it. So we're a hard sell. And I think that's tricky and it's difficult. And I think that's the reason why we have to keep going, to keep pushing and doing the work. And eventually we will be heard.
Yes, and I totally agree with that. And that's kind of what I've been doing for the past few years. I quit doing drag shows last year because I've grown such a passion for the paranormal world, and I really love the work I do in this world, and I love the equipment about it. I'm an equipment nerd. I know everything about every single piece of ghost hunting equipment, and it's just a new passion for me, and I'm ready to explode all over the paranormal world. I'm ready to open the glitter bomb and get it everywhere, and everyone's going to know who I am at some point.
I'll live for that. But I'm going to have everybody wear a poncho because I feel like we're going to get something on us.
Residual glitter. You're ghost hunting at a location one time. You're going to go up somewhere and be like, there's glitter in here. Is this for Monique?
No, I'm just going to call you immediately and be like, sis, were you here?
Yeah.
Just be like, what's this? Yeah.
So let's talk about living with the dead, because I just had a few questions that I wrote down. So are you still afraid of clowns?
I'm better than I was. You can't say to somebody who grew up just as John Wayne Gacy happened,
oh God,
and this culture of horror clowns occurred, that clowns aren't scary. You can't say to somebody who saw it way too early in their childhood development that clowns aren't scary. They are to us, because these are our traumas, our triggers, and our issues. I'm better than I was. I mean, that says a lot for, what do they call it? Submersive therapy, where you're submersed into your thing. So yeah, no, I'm much better than I was. I still have a hard time with it. Now, thanks to the show and that episode, anytime I'm at a convention and there's a freaky clown, they want to come to me, and I have to deal with that. And it's terrifying. I just put my head down and say, thank you for coming. I appreciate you visiting.
Drag
Well,
queens are kind of clowns. You should be okay with them now.
I know drag queens. I'm totally cool with drag queens, but I did have a very unfortunate situation happen to me when I was young with a drag queen that really set me back.
Oh no.
Um, uh, I was 16 and they snuck me into this bar, and there's a drag queen who I think is no longer with us, bless her, that took me by the hand, and I was 16. She led me up to the stripper, and I was so shook. I was Southern Baptist brought up, and there I was, and she just shoved my face into the stripper's package, and it was
it was a male stripper. That's
yeah,
good.
it was traumatic for me for just a minute. So I had issues with it, but no, I now these days I just think the culture of horror clown is so prevalent,
Yeah.
and that I can't even remotely relate them to drag queens because I find it two totally different schools of art in that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love horror personally, so I'm not afraid of a lot of the things in the horror world, but I'd probably be afraid of a real clown out, in the dark alley somewhere.
But where was everybody like a few summers ago when clowns were just standing by the side of the road? You weren't afraid of that. Like, come on, y'all.
No, if it was in my neighborhood, maybe, but that was like
Oh, yeah.
Florida.
Yeah, but I'm like, no, absolutely. I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Like, that's
No.
horrific. No, absolutely not. I won't do it.
Oh
But
my
I'm better than I
God.
used to be. I'm better than I used to be.
Who is your favorite cast member?
Oh boy.
They probably
I'm not
won't watch
afraid.
this, so you're not in any trouble anyway.
I'm not afraid. Logan.
Okay.
Logan is I'm in love with him in a way that goes beyond. It's somewhere between platonic and familial. Like I have like a family love for him. And I remember when we were doing the chemistry test, they went from the 12 to the 7, and then they sent us back to the hotel. And
Oh, you
when
guys did them in person?
yeah,
Oh my
and
God.
yeah, it went from thousands to 12, and then they took us to LA, all 12 of us, and we did chemistry tests for a weekend. And I remember that when the chemistry test was over and the 7 of us were there, I pulled Logan to the side and I said to him, um, with every sincerity in my heart, I said, if we both make this together, I will always block the wind for you. You can always stand on my shoulders. I will always have your back, and I will love you forever.
That's on.
And
That's
and
awesome.
we just sat there and had a tear, and we've not stopped doing that. He's the only other boy, you know what I mean? Like, I like a little, I like my boy because we do things a little bit different, you know what I mean? And we say things that maybe aren't appropriate. And he's
Mhm.
Southern too. We have a Southern brother kind of thing. But all of them, I remember being in Tonopah before we filmed the first episode, and I had these visions of all of them. And I went into the room and I said, Juju, I think you're going to make me a better man. I just being around you. And she did. And with Alex, I said, I see you blossoming and everything about you growing. She did. I know that it's not a dumb vision to have had Roz become an icon. Roz is an icon.
Oh yeah, before the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And is incredibly intelligent, incredibly gifted, and insanely funny. And I make the joke that we have a Sonny and Cher type relationship, that we have a B. Arthur, Betty White type relationship. She's amazing. They're all amazing, but I'm totally in love with Logan. Totally in love.
I love that. I love that they did your chemistry test in person too.
Yeah.
I've been involved with a couple of different projects, and obviously nothing's panned out yet. But we always did our chemistry test over Zoom. We never even met. I did do one project where we did do a little stuff in person, but like it was very fake.
Yeah, they tend to be that way. The thing that we didn't know was that our microphones, everybody was mic'd, and that even when we weren't on camera, we were being listened to.
Okay.
So I kind of had a feeling, which is why I would sing or whistle when I peed. I would do like, Benny and the Jets or something like this.
Yeah.
And would pee. But the BTS, the behind the scenes of it is that a lot of the people they sent home were not there for the group. They were there to be nasty queens.
Yeah.
And what they wanted were people who would have each other's back. And we didn't know that at the time. So the fact that I'm Southern and would open the door for people or hold people's hands, or when it was over, we would hug and like we would be very, I don't know, I'm like a drunk sorority girl. I'm going to be all over everybody because I
I am.
love everybody immediately.
Yeah.
I think that's why I made it. And I asked them, I was like, did this one guy make it? Because he was 6'2" and like gorgeous. And they were like, no, he didn't. And I was like, why did you pick me over him? And they were like, you're Southern charm personified. You held everybody's hand. You opened all the doors. You loved everybody, and you're a storyteller. So I was like,
yeah, that's true about you.
Hmm.
All of that. I wish they I wish they told you why your audition wasn't good enough, because I auditioned too. I was one of those 12,000 people that didn't get a call back.
The thing I see now is that I'm still friends with a lot of the people that didn't make it. And I see how we could have done a great job together. But when I'm in that RV and they're all asking where the Dramamine is because Uncle Ken's going to drive, and they're all going to throw up because that RV handles like a John Deere lawnmower. It's horrible. And, me driving through Las Vegas, like it's just nightmare, just absolute nightmare. And so, I mean, I look at that and I think I could not be more lucky than to have these 4 people in my life. And, I'm radically in love with all of them.
It becomes your family. And you guys are experiencing something. One thing that I love about Drag Race, and I have a lot of friends that have been on Drag Race, and one of the things that I love about when you see that like top 4 is that some of them have become so close that they only lived this part of their lives together, and they've created this bond where they're going to be forever friends regardless of what happens after the show is over. And it's such a special bond that you build being on set with people, because you're forced to be with them all day.
It's a unique experience where for 3 months we were in a bubble, and then the bubble bursts and you go back home. But one of the main head executives of Hulu said that he wanted to know how long we had all lived together, and the response was that we hadn't. So
yeah. So who was the drama? Oh, sorry.
Who was the drama?
Yeah.
Me.
Well, behind the scenes, not on camera.
Me.
Still you? God.
Yeah. I think so. I don't know. Me. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
That's so funny.
Yeah. That's, I think, reality.
There's always one.
But it's not that I'm dramatic for the sake of being dramatic. It's that I so love what I do, and I'm so obsessed with what I do, that if something doesn't fall in line,
yes,
you know what I mean? And because I do have such a love for people, that if something isn't quite right, I got to say something about it. So, and I think we all went on our own sort of personal journey through the whole thing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great show, and it really shows that you guys are super close, and the relationships are awesome. And it just makes me so proud as a gay person to see a gay paranormal TV show, even if I wasn't the first one to get it out there.
You make me proud. So if that means anything, I hope that it does. So
that is definitely special. Thank you. So I have watched a few interviews that you have done, and one person you always seem to talk about is Stevie Nicks. Like you have this like God found love for her. But I wanted to know if you had any other celebrities that you put on such a high tier as you do Stevie Nicks.
I have, when I grew up, I didn't have a lot in the way of inspirational people. And when I broke out on my own, I realized I had to develop a compass of a code of ethics and a morality, and to have something to look toward. And so I sat down and I wrote down a list of my absolute favorite people: Princess Diana, Tina Turner, may she rest in peace, Stevie Nicks, B. Arthur, Julia Sugarbaker, because you have to have Julia Sugarbaker.
Yeah.
And I sat down and I wrote out why I loved all of them. And then I ripped the page in half, effectively getting rid of the names. And then that was my code of conduct: to be a mystical, ethereal, smart, sharp, funny, true to myself, true to what's good and true to what's right, charitable, giving, compassionate, asshole. and so, yeah, Tina Turner, Betty Davis, B. Arthur, Dixie Carter, those kinds of people. I just turned 40 a few weeks ago.
God, I'm older than you.
It's a thing. Age is a thing. I sat down and said, all of my heroes, except for Stevie, all of my heroes are gone.
Mm.
And I was kind of just in a moment of contemplation, and I thought, who will I look to now? Who do I look toward? And my spirit guide said to me, this is the time that every person comes to when they realize they have to put the cape on now.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that Living for the Dead allows me to do that. I hope that somebody somewhere sees it and has that for me,
Yeah. I hope
Or
we see a
us.
lot of different seasons of Living for the Dead, and I hope it just grows and grows and grows, and you guys get to go in some really cool locations. And we are approaching the end of the show, so I want you to be able to take some time and like kind of promote yourself and tell everyone where they can find you and all of that fun stuff. So I'm going to give you that.
Okay, cool. Thank you, baby. So you can find me by Googling me now. You can just Google Ken Boggle, Boggle. You can go to kenboggle.com. There you can get links for readings and classes, and you can shop, including the official Ken Boggle bracelet, mug, t-shirt, decals, and etc.
I love the shirt.
The shirt's cute, right? The shirt's cute. And there's just a big QR code on the back so that when you're standing there getting your coffee, they get it.
Oh, I love it.
But find me on all of my social media at Ken Boggle. There's no punctuation, no spacing, no funny things. It's just Ken Boggle, all one word. If you find anybody other than that, please report them. It's just at Ken Boggle. And please engage, because I engage, and I've built some really great relationships that way. So
yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I want to talk to you after we close out, so don't leave.
Okay.
And thank you again to Ken Boggle from Living for the Dead and Tarot Date and many other amazing things. We'll definitely have to have you back on, because I feel like we could talk for another hour easy. But thank you for coming, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, babe.
Thank you. All right. My name is Monique Too Soon. That was Ghosts and Glitter, and I will see you guys next week for another amazing episode.
It's time to meet Monique. There's no one quite like she. All ghost hunting, drag queen. She'll tell you all you need, cause drag's the highest form of energy there is. So come on, boys and girls, join her paranormal world. Ghost and glitter. Join the ghostess with the mostest. Ghost and glitter. Monique Too Soon hopes you don't get too soon. Ghost and glitter. Ghost and glitter. Join the ghostess with the mostest. Ghost and glitter.
Thank you for listening to Ghost and Glitter. My name is Amy Champion, and please follow my papa, Monique Too Soon, on all social media. And be sure to leave a great review.